Here we are.
You say 12. Does 12 count the filter in?
No.
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You would have been jealous today, Mike. I know you're not a big sports radio guy, but we've had this thing going on with Jack and our morning show host, Joe, where they have like these athletic competitions. And Jack had to pitch to Joe today, 10 at-bats. So we did it at the Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. So
exciting.
And it was a nice turf field with the whole varsity team behind Jack. And Jack hadn't like pitched competitively in like 6 years.
Sure.
Flash flood warning. Did you hear that?
Everyone, look out.
There we go.
Careful.
Sorry.
Damn.
Yeah.
How'd he do?
Perfect. 8 up, 8 down, 5 strikeouts.
Well, but same guy every time.
Yeah, same guy. Because it's between the two guys, which actually makes it a little harder on Jack because he has to keep pitching to the same guy over and over again. So there was one close call, a grounded a third, but the first baseman scooped it. It was a pretty impressive play, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any Philly scouts there looking for Jack? Need some
No,
pitching depth at AAA.
I think Jack at 31 years old with an 81 mile an hour fastball is probably it for him. He did play. He was in Division II college for 2 years. Yeah.
There you go. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right, so how can we figure out a way to do that with me and the Sixers? We tried it with the Blue Coats.
They cheated.
They jobbed me.
Yeah, they did.
Imagine getting in a fast layup contest with a 7'5" guy. That wasn't very cool.
No. But I mean, the potential embarrassment for that guy if he loses, like it's a no-win situation for him, which is
for
why
sure.
I think
But don't lie to me about it.
Yeah, look.
I understand.
Yeah,
but it seems like they did it in a way of like, everybody come to the game and let's sell a bunch of tickets to the Blue Coats.
Yeah.
And then the last second be like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I should have walked out.
You should have. That
I should have walked out.
Legendary.
I should have walked the fuck out.
Yep.
And walked home from Delaware.
Yep. To LA or to...
I don't know. I haven't been back since. So I guess I have been taking it personally.
On the show today, farewell Alex Reese. Hello, Dominick Barlow. VJ Edgecombe not playing because that is how things go for us during Summer League. Joel Embiid was up at midnight watching the Phillies and tweeting about it. And Quentin Grimes remains unsigned. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, as always, is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Sign up for Draftkings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Ethos Support. Your customer support should not suck. Go fix it at ethossupport.com/Ricky. Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at barkerbeds.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official canned cocktail of the Ricky. A reminder that you can get all of our fabulous writers, Mike O'Connor, Andrew Underberger, Dan Olinger, Zoe, all by subscribing at rightstoRickySanchez.com for free. When I subscribe, it means you just get the emails and you don't have to go on the website or anything. And as I mentioned, it's free. Just go to rightstoRickySanchez.com/subscribe. It has been hot as heck here in the Northeast. It was a beautiful July 4th weekend, and I know the Surfsides were cracked everywhere. People just drinking their Surfsides. My wife has a new favorite one. It is the strawberry lemonade, so no tea at all. It does have that great stateside vodka like they all do. It does have only 2 grams of sugar. It does have only 100 calories. They all taste excellent, every single variety, and none of them have carbonation. Because iced tea, lemonade, that's not supposed to have bubbles in it. Get it wherever you get your canned cocktails or go to drinksurfside.com. You got to be 21. Please enjoy it responsibly. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So So say the name, say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name, say the name, say the name.
Rights to Ricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's got contusions on both his God, motherfucker. Contusions on both.
Come on.
Can I start it again? Welcome to the
start it
Rights
up.
to Ricky Sanchez podcast.
No,
I'm
start,
Spike
I need it
Eskin.
clean. I need it clean.
I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who has contusions on both of his thumbs. That is one Mike Levin.
I probably told the story before, but one summer I helped my uncle who's in in construction,
Okay.
Not fully, but like used to do more of it and like still did it as he retired and stuff. I helped him build a basement.
Really?
And so I was like cutting sheetrock and stuff, and I cut up both of my thumbs. I had big gashes on both my thumbs that are still there.
The scars are.
Yeah, from when I was like 19.
Wow.
Not cut out for it. Turns out, I don't know if people listening to this podcast thought that Mike guy's probably really good at building things. I can get by, but I'd say anything of major note, cutting sheetrock might be a little outside of my skill level.
It's funny you say that. We were at our neighbor's house this weekend, and he mentioned his deck. He was like, hey, when COVID happened and I got laid off, me and my son, we built that deck.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really?
Yeah. People do
And I
that
said
stuff,
to
man.
Val,
Good for them.
I said, I want to redo our deck. She's like, oh, really? Do you? No.
There's people that can do stuff, and there's people that can talk on a podcast.
Yep.
And sometimes those ne'er the twain shall meet.
Yep, he is not wasting his time doing a podcast. I can tell you that, building decks. Well, I mentioned the thumb thing because we had this great debut from VJ Edgecombe, and then he proceeded to not play in the next two games because he has a thumb contusion.
Yeah.
Tony Jones of The Athletic, seemingly the only source of Sixers news right now,
Yeah.
said that it is nothing to worry about, of course, as the famous saying goes, but I hope that's it.
Can I say
I
something?
will say this: the fucking summer league games are a much tougher watch without VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, I don't think that the Utah Summer League should exist. What are we doing?
Yeah, what's the point?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah,
The feed that we get is like straight out of 2005.
you can barely see the numbers on the players to figure out who is who.
Most of the third quarter was cut out
Yep,
of the last game.
yep.
I went to commercial and I was fast forwarding through it, and I was like, does it ever come back? What happened?
Yep.
And it's just gone. And he played one game, then he's like, well, I'm not gonna fucking play more in Utah. I'm gonna save myself for Vegas, which makes sense.
Yeah.
The Sixers have always played in Utah. They played in Utah before they played in Orlando before Utah.
Yes,
Used to be
where
the Orlando Summer League.
We won summer league in Orlando.
Yes, and then they closed it because that shouldn't have been allowed. Any league where the Sixers can win shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
But I do think, like, at this point, why are we doing Utah? Just let them go to Vegas. Enough of this.
yeah. Go straight to Vegas.
It
Just
makes
do
me
the
like
Vegas.
less excited about Vegas because you already like kind of blow the excitement load in Utah, and you're like, but it's in Utah. No one's having fun. There's no juice there.
The
Just
beer
let
is
the-
lower alcohol level.
Just let the Jazz like play, like have a scrimmage by themselves. Like what's going on over there? I don't understand it. But excited for Vegas. I do think Edgecombe will be back for at least a couple Vegas games. It seems.
Is Thursday night's game, that's still Utah, right? Or is that Vegas?
No, they're done in Utah. Utah
Okay,
over.
all right. Okay.
So tomorrow against the Spurs in Vegas.
Okay.
And I regret I should have been more excited for VJ's opening game. I don't know that I properly conveyed excitement enough because that was a really nice debut. And
It was incredible.
the kid can get up
Yep.
and fast as hell with the ball. Athleticism plays, hitting 5-6 pull-ups off the dribble is huge. Trying it, looked confident with the ball in his hands, bunch of nice passes. Like, that's a really nice. Obviously, he took a fucking shitload of shots, and it's summer league, so it doesn't count. But I'd rather him be good than be bad. McCain was bad, and that turned out not to matter. But a lot of the other guys have been bad, and that did matter. And I do think this is an unpleasant showing for the other draft pick, Janai Broome. I have been quite disappointed by his performance thus far.
So what specifically about Broome have you been disappointed in? Like what were you hoping to see that you haven't seen? You mentioned passing last time. Is that the large?
Well, they played through him against Memphis a little bit more.
They did.
He's posted up I would say maybe over the 3 games. I'm guessing. I'm sure there's numbers to back this up, but a handful of times, and he hasn't gotten anywhere. Like he's not backing anybody down. Doesn't have like much like quick or decisive moves. He plays like he's 37, and his athleticism or lack thereof is just really doing him bad. It's not good. And the touch on, he's hit a couple threes in his first 2 games. Then he was 0 for 5 from 3 in Vegas or against Memphis.
Yeah.
The free throw shooting's been ugly. It looks bad. Just his touch on his floater's been bad. Like, look, maybe he should have like a 27 and 15 game. That's what he did at Auburn all the time. And he's just it doesn't seem like he has really any way to score. And you kind of wish that when he was not as much of a focal point that he would impact the game in a bunch more ways. And his defense is pretty good. He's getting hands on balls. He's gotten a couple nice blocks. He's crafty in that way, and he slaps some balls away. And
I still maintain he moves around better than a guy who has questionable athleticism does.
I don't. He moves with guys more, so defensively, but he doesn't like run. He has no burst whatsoever.
Yeah.
He just seems really, really old. He seems like the oldest basketball player I've ever seen. And my dad's 72 and still plays basketball twice a week. And I think he might move faster than Janai Broome.
Wow.
It's really slow, dude. And he's still a smart player. He finds himself in the right spot, but like with summer league aggression and physicality, he just seems a little bit like his car doesn't have much rev. He's sort of
I thought I would
gliding in a bad way. And I like a glide. I love a Bobby Abreu glide.
Sure.
But he doesn't glide in a great way. I just think he's going to get like blown by at NBA speed, and he'll find himself in the right position because people aren't guarding him a lot. But you just wish he was like faster and more athletic or could shoot or something. He just has too many things he's not great at. And I thought he would outsmart players in summer league more than he has thus far. I'm not ruling out that he like bounces back and he's just getting used to it, and it's different when you're like the number one guy on a team and everything runs through you, and how do you impact the game? Like, he could bounce back for sure, but through 3 games, it's Utah. I think he's been pretty bad.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I was hoping to see more of is just sort of him being like out hustling everyone, like just sort of taking it to everyone that way. And I guess I haven't seen that. And maybe that is a reflection on the lack of athleticism, that he's just unable to do it against. They're not all NBA players, but they are a step up in athleticism compared to, Division I college teams. So,
yeah, it hasn't been great. But we did get our first taste of Hunter Sallis, and some ups and downs. Right. He's a really nice dunk in a half court setting, which was cool.
Kind of reminded me of Lonnie Walker a little bit in that, I was watching him trying to feel like, or even and at the top level, like Karis LeVert. Like, he's not really great at anything guardy, but he's pretty good at all the guardy things, and he can score. That sort of thing is sort of what he reminded me of.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is with all these ball dominant college guys that either got drafted in the second round or didn't get drafted at all, and they're having a shot to get there. And you can talk about this with Judah Mintz also. How do you impact the game when the ball is not in your hands all the time? How do you impact the game when the offense isn't being completely catered to your strengths and allowing you to get as many opportunities as possible? That's what happened at Wake Forest. It didn't happen at Gonzaga, and he wasn't that successful at Gonzaga, and that's why he transferred to Wake. And then he has 2 good years at Wake, and it's like, okay, that's interesting. Let's see what comes of that. And I think he's a totally fine 2-way signing. I think if he becomes an above average outside shooter, then that and quickens his release and stuff, and that's useful. He's athletic, he can handle a little bit. He's long enough to defend. He tries, but he hasn't jumped off the screen so far, which is why he hasn't been drafted. So it's a reasonable 2-guard on a 2-way.
Actually, hold that thought for a minute because I have a thought on that as to him not being drafted. Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Ethos Support. Ethos Support, ETHOS, ETHOS, support.com/Ricky. Or you can call or text Blair, who is in charge, 240-593-2485. That's ethosupport.com/Ricky. I would imagine if you are a smaller business, you think to yourself, well, I can't have a customer support team because we're not big enough for it, right? I can't hire a bunch of people, can't do that, don't have the time for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put our phone number on the website, an email address that I'll take care of, and we'll put social media on there. The problem is that if somebody has a problem, is a customer of yours and needs help and you're not available, then those options are terrible. Ethos Support can help you fix that. If you have good customer support, people like your company. Even if they have a problem with the product, if you help solve that problem, they will like you. If you have bad customer support, it can ruin it. Ethos Support can help you have great customer support. Phone, email, social media, whatever it is, whatever chat, whatever sort of support you want, they can do it for you. So what they do is they go and they hire the people and then they train them on your business so they can give good answers to people. Think of all the times that you've tried to get in touch with a person for customer support and you're hit 3, hit 4, keep saying agent, 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 agent. They can help solve that problem for you. 2 weeks. They need 2 weeks to put together a team for you. No contract. So if you don't like it, you can break it at any time. But I'm telling you, you will like it. I'm telling you, you will have people that can solve your customers' problems. I'm telling you that people will like your business better. Go to ethosupport.com/Ricky, again, or call or text Blair at 240-593-2485. No company too big or too small. Again, that is 240-593-2485. It's funny you say because he didn't get drafted. That's why he doesn't pop. And you talk yourself into when they get an undrafted free agent and they're like, oh, this guy should have been drafted.
He could have been for sure.
Oh, you're like, oh, wow, I bet he's awesome. But he didn't get drafted. 60 players did, and he didn't. So it doesn't mean that he can't be good, obviously. But I think my Hunter Sallis expectations were high just because he's a guard and his highlights are fun and people were talking him up as a really good undrafted free agent signing, which he might be.
For sure.
But you saying that sort of is a reminder of the position that he's in, right?
Yeah, he's a scoring 2-guard that needs to become a more automatic shooter from deep, that has length to defend and enough athleticism to hang. He could turn himself into an NBA player, but the difference between him being undrafted and being taken 45 to 60 is it's 0. You could flip a coin. Those are just deals that have already been negotiated before the end of the draft. Judah Mintz, however, who was undrafted last year, and the Sixers had him on an E10 on Summer League and had a nice showing, but ends up staying in Delaware all year, has been wonderful. He's been very good.
Are you sure you wouldn't rather have him than Kyle Lowry, though?
I would rather have him than Kyle Lowry.
I know.
That's exactly right.
That's why I asked you.
He's just really good with the ball in his hands. He has, for a guy that is this herky-jerky, he's also more athletic than you think. He gets to the line a ton. He was 6 of 6 against the Thunder and 8 of 9 from the line against the Grizzlies. I mean, he can just really get his own shot against a ton of guys and has a decent shot. It's really slow. He's not so dissimilar from Jeff Doughton, honestly.
Yeah, he reminds me of him. Even physically, he reminds me of him.
I think he's probably a little bit more athletic and maybe a little bit more gives a little bit more physicality on the defensive end. But I like Judah Mintz. Prior to them signing Dominick Barlow, who we'll talk about, I was ready to say that they should sign him to a 2-way. If Kyle Lowry didn't exist or was retiring or was a coach or whatever he wanted to be, that isn't taking up a roster spot on this team, I definitely would be like, they should use that final two-way spot on a point guard that can step in a little bit in case Maxier McCain is gone. Now they think that Lowry is that guy that can do that. I don't think that at all. I think he's quite old, and when he is playing, isn't good anymore.
But aside from that,
they are doing what they're doing. So I hope Judah Mintz gets an opportunity to be on a two-way somewhere else, because he's good, dude. He has really, really impressive touch from like further out than you'd think in the like floater or scoop shot type of restrict like area. It's impressive.
Is fair to mention Summer League is built for players like Judah Mintz to look good. Like it's a very guardy kind of basketball. Like when you're getting the ball all the time and you get the it's sort of like being the point guard on a bad team in the NBA. I'm not saying he isn't good. I think he has been impressive too, but I do think Summer League favors a player like him.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, if you can get your shot off one-on-one and play through contact, like for sure. But the issue last year, he was 21, 5 and 4 and 2 steals in Delaware. He shot 27% from deep. He shot 78% from the line. You wish he can quicken that release up. I think that's going to be the thing that keeps him from getting like a cup of coffee in the NBA is, can you just hit enough threes off the catch, because they're not going to let you handle as much as he's on it. But
yeah,
I think he's an NBA player. I think he should be, whether it's here or somewhere else.
What have you thought of Justin Edwards? I'm Justin Edwards has been a focus of mine, and I feel like he looks heavy, and like you said this, and actually Sixers Adam said this, and I kind of want to call a little bit bullshit on it. I'm not calling bullshit on you or your opinion here. It's just like Adam was like, well, a player like him is never going to look great at Summer League because he's like a complimentary kind of player. And I'm just kind of like, well, fuck that. I mean, he was playing NBA minutes last year and playing well. I don't know. Like maybe he doesn't feel like he needs to prove anything. I just feel like I wish when I watched him that he looked like he didn't belong in a positive way. And I haven't felt that watching him. And he even looks a half step slower than he did last year.
I mean, I totally agree.
Okay.
I like, if you have, it's not completely irrelevant that he doesn't look great. Right. You can't just be like, well, that's none of the stuff that he's going to do here is going to happen when he's playing with the big club. You would still like him to be able to get by somebody. You would still like his handle to be tight enough that he can operate and make the right play. It doesn't seem like, he had a couple decent finishes, and the shot looks good from the outside off the catch. He was 3 of 6 against Memphis, 2 of 6 against OKC. But he's turned the ball over a lot. I just don't think he's a very complete player. I think he's what James Ennis gave them, which is like shoot off the catch, the occasional attacking a closeout, playing good enough defense. And that's completely fine as an undrafted player that started on a two-way. And I think he absolutely could be the 8th or 9th man in this rotation. I just sort of never saw the like higher potential there, because he's just not that athletic. He just doesn't have that many different ways to score. It takes him a little bit to get his shot up off the dribble. He likes to get to his like little like pull up, 2 steps in from the 3-point line around the elbow or something. But around the rim, he's not above the rim player. He doesn't he plays hard. He plays strong, but he's just not that athletic and not that fast. So, but I think he's a fine player. And I honestly would be like, it's good that he's trying to do this stuff. He's just not succeeding at it at the moment. And maybe he takes a big leap at some point, but it was very impressive that he played competent, simple NBA basketball last year in the rotation for a bad team.
It's fair to remember that he did do that in the NBA. So that's what I'm reminding
But you
myself.
wish, it's the sort of thing where it's like, when you talk about NBA players who do a very limited thing in the NBA, then you go, oh, they probably can't do that. And then you see I don't know, Isaiah Hartenstein in a gym by himself, and it's like knockdown three. This guy shoots 80% from three, like whatever, like that. Like they are so good. And you wish that Justin would be like, yeah, I do this in the NBA, but when I'm playing against lesser players, I can totally cook them. And right now he can't.
Right.
Not to say that he won't be able to at some point, but right now he's not that much better than a summer league player, and you wanted him to take a leap, and he hasn't.
Last thing, what about Jalen Slawson?
Slawson, yeah, he's a nice player. He's got fluidity and athleticism. He can handle a little bit. He plays hard. He's strong, physical. I do not trust the shot at all whatsoever. So, but I like him. He had some fun moments in college at Furman. Yeah, I wish I trusted the shot. I'm every time he gets one up, I'm rooting for him. But I think it's a Jonah Bolden situation, sadly.
Oh no, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. And a bad Bona game against the Thunder, which I didn't love.
Yeah, and then he was off against Memphis, right? He didn't play against Memphis.
Yeah.
Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Mike, I know you're going to love this. For the first time ever, an all-women's boxing mega event in New York.
Okay.
2 title fights.
Here we go. Now we're on to my sport.
Night. Yes, and you can bet it at DraftKings Sportsbook. Let me throw some of these fights at you, and you let me know what you think of these fights. Oh, man, I just had the boxing up. All right, there it is. How about Ellie Scottney versus Yamalith Mercado? Yamalith Mercado is plus 550. Ellie Scottney is minus 1,000.
Michael Mercado's sister. He's a hell of a reliever. I think he's got some juice in him. Can give you a couple innings. Give me Yasmin for the win there.
How about Cherneka Johnson versus Sharetta Metcalf? Sharetta Metcalf plus 300.
I mean, with the lineage of a Metcalf, you got to go with a Metcalf as far as names I've heard of.
Yep.
Pretty good there.
There it is. By the way, also, and if you want to bet this, DraftKings Sportsbook, bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets instantly. The NBA Cup odds are up
Cup
on
time.
DraftKings. Yep. The Sixers are plus 2,500 to win the NBA Cup, which puts them the same as the Bucks. The favorites are the Thunder at plus 320. It looks like the championship odds, but these are the NBA Cup odds.
I thought the Knicks have a pretty easy draw, and the Sixers draw is kind of tough. Not that anything matters at all. But
yeah, the Sixers are in Group B with Orlando, Brooklyn, Detroit, and Boston.
Yeah, I think there's 3 playoff teams there. The Knicks have maybe 1.
Yeah, the Knicks are Group C. Here we go. And remember, it does count if they win the NBA Cup.
It does count.
Yeah, Milwaukee, Miami, Charlotte, and Chicago. Yeah, that is a weak fucking NBA trying to get the Knicks to win. Anyway, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RTRS. That is code RTRS. New customers get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only at DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. One player we will not be seeing in Sixers Summer League anymore. And man, I like this guy, but he's gone. The Sixers have waived Alex Reese.
He still might be on the Summer League team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they could waive him from the roster, but he could still be on.
Be on the Summer League team.
Jalen was on the.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I'm not. Sure. We're not saying for sure.
Then they don't. He doesn't have a 2-way anymore.
Yeah.
They signed Dominick Barlow, and now they're 2-way guys: Jabari Walker, Hunter Sallis, Dominick Barlow. Dominick Barlow played 2 seasons for the Spurs. Was drafted when he was 19, and then played last year for the Hawks. It's hard to tell from his regular stats because he only played like 10, 12 minutes a game. His per 36 numbers are interesting. It doesn't look like he can shoot. Like, I don't know anything about this guy. I feel like I've never seen him play.
Yeah, wasn't drafted. Was undrafted to the Spurs, but started at St. Joe's Prep, and then transferred to a school in North Jersey. Then didn't go to college. Played at Overtime Elite, where he averaged 24 and 9. He's like a bouncy 4'5". He's probably a 5. He's probably a small 5. 6'10" with a 7'3" wingspan. High motor. He moves well on defense. He slides his feet. He uses his length. He's like kind of does all the things that Alex Reese does, except for shoot. But he's just like way bigger and way more athletic. And offensively, he's a rim roller type, good cutter, play finisher type. He's just still kind of raw, which is not necessarily great at 22. He's big and athletic, a good guy to take a swing on. He has played NBA minutes, which is good, I think. He's just not elite at anything, and he's not bouncy enough to like get by. He's like above average athlete, but without any other like additional skills. He's also not really like a great rim protector, and he's really not a good rebounder, especially for a 5. You really would love to see that, but
other than that,
he's big, he's fluid, he's athletic. He knows what not to do. I think he's like he has a Nick Nurse type of. He's like a Nick Nurse categorized player, but you got to teach him like he looks like one and physically can be one, but you got to teach him the Nick Nurse habits. Like I would love for him to get more active hands, more deflections, going after balls, trusting himself to recover if he goes for something, and also trusting his backside defense to be there. Like I think there could be an interesting dynamic 5 that can switch like 2 through 4, but limited enough offensively where like he's got to be really good defensively at like several ways, and he's got to become a better rebounder.
I think this answer is obvious, but most likely to have their two-way converted to a regular contract, Hunter Sallis, Jabari Walker, Dominick Barlow. It's Jabari Walker, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar to Jabari, he has NBA experience, has played NBA minutes, and it seems like that's what they're valuing at their two-way spots, which makes sense since having Drummond, Gordon, and Lowry, who might be too old to play professional basketball anymore. They need to have some playable two-way guys to step in. Like, I understand that. I don't understand burning the 3 roster spots on those old guys, but you're making up for it with 2 NBA level two-way guys. It makes total sense to me. The fact that they're like, hey, here's another, Barlow is more athletic than Jabari. Jabari is just a really, really, really good rebounder and plays really hard. I liked Sixers Adams' article about him with the quotes that he got from him. It was a nice read hearing Jabari talk about himself, and it seems like he has pretty good perspective. I like the two-way spots. I think they're using them well. I honestly I would give Jabari a roster spot. I would not have signed Lowry, and I would sign Judah Mintz or some interesting type of on-ball guard to a two-way spot. But that's not what they did.
Speaking of Sixers Adam, how about Sixers Adam, man? Just fucking being a real guy.
Real guy, dude.
Just fucking writing his balls off. Being a real guy.
Nobody writes more than Sixers Adam. It's remarkable.
No, he's a fucking lunatic.
We gave birth to him.
Yeah.
He's our child. We did it.
Shouldn't we be? What's the word when you take just a little bit of somebody's money
Get
for the rest of their career? Yeah.
Oh, you want to garnish his wages?
Yes.
Yeah, we can garnish his wages. Yeah, Malik Beasley is having his wages garnished by his dentist, and and Sixers Adam is having his wage garnished by his former podcast bosses.
Yeah, I'll just call Philly voice and I'll say, look,
give us some of that.
This is what happened. We need 3%.
Give me some of that. I need it. I will say, so the Sixers right now have, because they signed Lowry, which we kind of alluded to but didn't say officially, they've signed Lowry to a veterans minimum.
Yeah.
Well, they now, if you include Grimes, have 15 roster spots filled.
Yep. Everything.
Ricky
Council is
so that's what I want to say.
unguaranteed.
So Ricky becomes guaranteed on January 10th, 2026.
Oh.
So they could take him into the season.
Yeah.
See how the team does. Potentially have his $2 million or so to $2.2 million to match salary in a pre-deadline trade or something. And then have him as like a live body off the bench once Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry are both sidelined with gout or whatever. Or they could just waive him now and not have any of the costs. Some of his contract would be, prorated. If they take him halfway into the season, then their cap hit is half of his salary. But yeah, if January comes and they're 21 and 24 or whatever, they could just waive him then a month ahead of the deadline to have the roster spot available for buyouts or whatever. So I think if I had to guess, they bring Ricky into the season and then waive him in January would be my guess.
This was shocking. So, luckily Phillies won 13-0 or whatever it was today, but a heartbreaker in game 2 in that. I mean, you could see Jordan Romano blowing that game 100 miles away.
Can't be expecting Jordan Romano to get 5 outs these days. Come on.
No, absolutely
What are we
not. And boy, no one can hang a fucking breaking ball like Jordan Romano. I mean, I couldn't hit a hanging breaking ball from a major league pitcher, but if there's one I could hit, I feel like it's Romano.
Wow.
Anyway, Romano gives up a moon shot that somehow doesn't go out of the park. The Giants,
to their like worst hitter, one of the worst hitters in baseball.
Yeah, he hits the ball. By the way, that ball would have been out of every park in Major League Baseball except for San Francisco.
Eases the sting a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Because
of the crazy carom.
Yeah, I fell asleep. I woke up. I saw it in the morning. And when you read inside the park walk off inside the park home run, it feels worse than when you see it and you see the guy just fucking
He
smoked
crushed it.
But Joel Embiid tweets during it and then fucking deletes it for some reason.
It was interesting.
2 tweets. First one, OMG, no F way. All caps, 2 exclamation points.
I saw that one. I didn't see the second one. What's the second one?
The second one, you're never going to believe this, Mike. You're going to think I'm lying that he tweeted this. This is, okay. That was more painful than the Lindor home run.
Wow.
Like that, doesn't that show? Now, first of all, no, it's not. But for him to have like I almost thought he was hacked.
It's really from here energy.
It's very specific.
So he has. Did we talk about this on the podcast that he has been in Philadelphia this whole offseason?
Oh no, I didn't. I don't think I knew that.
And been
he did do that Philly goat thing that we.
He did the Philly goat
Instagram
thing.
Yep.
I forget where I saw it, so I apologize. But it was some report that said, maybe it might have been Ramona, that said like typically he comes to LA for a lot of the offseason and is here. But he has stayed in Philadelphia all offseason and been very close to the Sixers throughout. I think.
Oh no.
Well, one thing. It's cool that Joel's tweeting about the Phillies.
Yes.
It's cool. I like it. It's
even though he deleted it.
He's a little bit of like he's always been big Eagles guy since he got here.
Even though he's a Packers fan.
But he's been here long enough.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool that he has some like I've lived here most of my adult life. Like I'm from here. He's not pandering like Harper, but he's caring in a different kind of way. He's more of honestly more of a fan than Bryce is like to the other teams and stuff. My thing about the Sixers right now, obviously I'm annoyed by the Lowry thing and the Drummond and Gordon thing, whatever. But outside of that, like the fact that Joel's been there and the Sixers are not announcing anything.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee waives Dame Achilles. Milwaukee waives him. Halliburton Achilles. Tatum Achilles. The Cavs have a disappointing playoff showing. The Knicks fire their head coach and hire Mike Brown. Everyone's talking about the East being open, and there's starting to be these. The odds came out of the title odds and some over unders, and there's the some Eastern Conference power rankings being released, whatever. We are starting to get the conversation of people having to reckon with the fact that the Sixers exist. and I feel like for the most part across the board,
you mean nationally or locally?
Nationally.
Okay, sure.
Everyone is like too scared to say anything about the Sixers.
Yes, because they don't know what to say.
Yeah. But the dust has settled on how bad last year was, and they're kind of looking around, and everyone has like on their to-do list or whatever has a big like Sixers question mark.
Yes.
And everyone like nationally across the board is kind of going, I can't do it. I'm not ready to do that yet.
Yeah.
But you can feel that everyone has decided that we're not really going to say anything about the Sixers because we're too scared to. And I find that to be kind of fun and interesting. We'll talk about the odds after this.
Well, we will. I mean, yes. Okay, after this.
It was a really natural and organic setup that I just did.
Like you've been doing it for your whole
forever.
life.
CJ's got big ad time on his fucking face. Show me that face, CJ. We know it's ad time.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Actually, not Big Barker. Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. It's not Big Barker anymore. Barker. I actually went and purchased a Barker product that I didn't even know existed for vacation. We can't fit the Barker in the car because it's too big. We could fit it in the car, but we couldn't fit anything else in there. They have like a travel one that folds up that you can put in your car. So I got the Barker Therapeutic Dog Bed, the travel version.
That's cool.
Yeah, you got to go to barkerbeds.com/Ricky. That is barkerbeds.com/Ricky. It's important that you go on that specific link because then when you do decide to buy the bed, you're going to get the Process Pup patches, you get the stickers, all that kind of stuff. And they'll know that you're a Ricky person, which is good as well. But man, the amount of different stuff that they have. I mentioned now Rebel sleeps on a Barker mattress that has a cooling and calming like scent thing on it or something that they can put into the mattress. The key for Barker dog beds, which is why Scotchy sleeps on one and why Rebel sleeps on one. And when Scotchy got here, we're like, you got to sleep on a Barker. That's what happens here. And she knows why now, because these beds keep your dogs healthier. And we all, dogs aren't alive long enough, right? And we all want to keep our dogs as healthy for as long as we possibly can. So they have this great life where even later in life, they're up and bouncing around sort of like Rebel is. That's what Barker dog beds can do. It is a real mattress that supports your dog's joints. So the older they get, as arthritis sort of creeps in, the better shape they'll be in. And you want to start them early if you can. I think Rebel was like 4 when he started sleeping on a Barker. But if your dog's older, it can help start to ease those symptoms. If it's younger, keep that dog bouncy even longer. It's not Big Barker anymore because there is the big one for your big dog, because bigger dogs do develop arthritis more often than smaller dogs do, but smaller dogs do too. So there's the Barker Junior, different configurations, different colors. As I mentioned, they have one that you can put in a crate. They have the one that I just got that is a travel one. I can't recommend it enough. It'll keep your dog happier. Go to barkerbeds.com/Ricky. There is a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. It is handmade in the USA. Barker dog beds. I think, as far as what you're saying with national people and reckoning that the Sixers exist, is that until they see Joel Embiid moving around, they don't have to reckon with it. It's like a you don't have to open the bill that you got in the mail until they start calling you. And when they see Embiid on the court, because nobody wants to predict anything because nobody wants to be wrong about it. And everyone would rather just deal with the teams they feel like they know something about.
And I think not only are national people thinking that, but I think the Sixers are thinking that. And that's why there hasn't been a Joel update. Daryl sort of was like, yeah, around then. He'll be around somewhere. Nobody wants to say anything. No one wants to commit to anything. But if this Quentin Grimes deal happens, which who knows when it happens, we'll talk about it in a second, but it'll probably happen, and it'll probably be at a reasonable number that's somewhere in the 16 million range, which is totally fine and good, considering good for the Sixers and good for Grimes because it's stability, and in a better cap year, maybe he could have gotten more, but that's just not the environment. So eventually the restricted free agents will sign. You look around, the Sixers are pretty good. You can do it. Yeah. I'm not saying I don't know anything. If Joel's healthy, if Joel's not healthy. If they're slow playing the fact that he looks good, or if they're just we don't fucking know, it's nothing. Who knows? But just in the same way that every team has some ifs, the Sixers are Vegas has them at 43.5 is what I saw it at.
Yes, the over under,
and they won 25 games last year, so that would be a vast improvement.
Let's see if DraftKings has...
And I saw their title odds. Tell me what they are up to the minute, but I saw their title odds at plus 3,300. And that is 5th in the East. So if the Sixers... last year was bad. Last year was horrendous. I'm not predicting anything, but everyone is sort of...
Here we go.
Walking on eggshells to go back to, I guess the Sixers are going to be around maybe.
Sixers plus 3,000.
Plus 3,000.
And to win the East, this is at Draftkings Sportsbook, which we are presented by, plus 1,000. They're fourth in the East. They're actually ahead of the Bucks
And the Hawks?
and the Hawks. Yeah, the Cavs are plus 245. The Knicks are plus 290. The Magic are plus 550. Then the Sixers at plus 1,000. The Bucks and the Hawks at plus.
So now
1,100.
they currently have it at, I might have seen an old one or something different, but now they have it as the Sixers will host a playoff series this year.
Yeah, let's stop that though.
Well, I'm just saying, like, everyone got to make fun of the Sixers, rightfully so,
Yeah,
for many months, and then just sort of
43.5 is the total at DraftKings as well.
aside from the Ace
win.
Bailey conversation, pretty much refuses to talk about them. And I just want to tell everyone who is getting paid to have takes and to land on something and to talk about the NBA,
Have a take, bitch.
grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up and talk about the Sixers. I get why you don't want to do it. I do it on a podcast. That's all we do. I had meetings today. That's why we started late.
Yeah.
And invariably, and on some meetings, the subject of this podcast will come up, and they'll ask the questions like, "How long have you been doing it? 12 years." And do you talk about all Philly sports?
Nope.
Not really.
Just as one team.
And you do it twice a week. What about the offseason? Yep. So I know what it's like to talk about the Sixers when you don't necessarily want to talk about the Sixers. Nobody knows more than us. But they do exist.
Yep.
They have the fourth best odds to win the East, and it's time for some national people to accept that.
Yeah,
and do
you got
their
to
jobs.
reckon with it.
Reckon.
It is crazy when you think about it. They refuse to talk about the Sixers, and it's literally all we talk about.
And I'm not saying I even want them to. I don't like it when
you
people
just
talk
get
about the
mad at
Sixers.
it. Yeah.
I don't want it. I'm not needing it, but I am noticing that nobody wants to do it.
Yep.
I'm
It's
feeling that
really
everyone
funny.
is
Yeah.
sort of walking in a straight line. Okay, let's go down the East. Let's talk about this. And then there's just a big step over this pothole that is the Sixers. Let's just avoid that and keep it moving. Nobody wants to do it. It's really funny.
You did mention Quentin Grimes. So this is per Tony Jones at The Athletic, the official Sixers reporter, besides Sixers Adam. Sixers Tony Jones is his name now. League sources are confident that the Sixers and Quentin Grimes will find a way to come to terms, even if Sixers fans have grown a bit antsy waiting for a resolution, and even if the market has ground to a halt. At this point, however, Grimes and his team are looking for a significant payout, and the Sixers are content to sit back and allow the market to play itself out. Other restricted free agents, such as Golden State's Jonathan Kuminga and Chicago guard Josh Giddey, are waiting. The proverbial elephant in the room is, this is later. To be clear, the Sixers, as of Monday night, are almost certain they are going to retain him and splash cold water on potential sign-and-trade scenarios, league sources told The Athletic.
Yeah.
The issue for Grimes is that the restricted free agency market is virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
There's almost no cap space on the market, and that puts the Sixers in a position where they're bidding against themselves. Let me ask you this. And I think I know the answer, but the three that were mentioned there, Josh Giddey, Jonathan Kuminga, and Quentin Grimes, value-wise, do you think Grimes is third in those? I'd rather have him than Kuminga, but if you were to say AAV, you were to guess the three, you think Giddey and Kuminga are ahead of Grimes?
Well, it's just interesting because it's not an open market. This isn't how much can they get when there's 3, 5, 10 other teams that are bidding up the price.
Let's say it was. Let's say it was.
I think Grimes gets the least of the three.
Okay.
I think on this team, I would rather have him. I guess maybe Kuminga, I'd rather have him more than Kuminga. You can make an argument if you believe in Kuminga. I don't, but you can make an argument that an athletic power forward that would be nice on this team. But I do think that
Giddey.
No, he's not going to defend, and I don't believe in the shot. And so it's how you can do it. I mean, nice to have him as a passer, but I'm good. I think it's just I'm interested to see where this goes. As far as sign trains go, there's just so many prohibitive.
Yeah.
The fallout is bad in the new CBA. That it just restricts so much of the stuff that you want to do. I would love if it was just a little more simple than that. And you could just go like, hey, somebody else wants to sign him to this deal. He wants to go there. They have this guy we want. That makes sense, but it really locks people out. So I think odds are they sign him to a contract at some point in the next few months. And then if he doesn't want to be here, if it's contentious, whatever, then maybe they trade him a few months into the season for somebody that maybe fits a little bit better into that power forward spot.
There was, speaking of Sixers, Adam, he did mention, it was Yossi Goslin who mentioned it actually first, that the Jazz could get up to $22 million in cap space if they waive KJ Martin and Jaden Springer, who are both on very funny, both former Sixers, but they were both on non-guaranteed contracts. I'm past the point of a team figuring out a way to offer Quentin Grimes a bunch of money. I just don't think it's happening.
I think a team could, and the Jazz certainly signed B-Ball Paul to that big contract when he was restricted.
Yeah.
But the fact that Utah has traded all of their veterans, with the exception of Lauri Markkanen, for essentially nothing. John Collins, Colin Sexton. There's one more that I'm forgetting. To just get nothing in return. And Clarkson they let go. And so they don't want to be good next year. Like, they tanked last year. They kept guys out in an egregious way. That was frustrating. This year, they owe their pick to the Thunder. It's top, I think, four protected, 5 protected. It's a top part half of the lottery protected. They want to keep that pick, especially because A, this year's draft class is very good, especially in the top 3, and B, if they don't convey it to the Thunder this year, then they never have to convey it. It is extinguished after this year. So the Jazz really need to be bad this year, and they need to get a little lottery luck. So I don't think they're going to sign Grimes because I think he would make them better, and I think that is not what they're looking for at this moment.
I also just sort of wonder if just very loosely and generally people think of Giddey as a starter and Kuminga as a starter and Grimes is probably a third guard. Not that he can't start, but I don't think he is thought of in the same way as those other players are.
I mean, Kuminga was out of the rotation.
Yes, he was. I think that other teams would talk themselves into that being a Golden State thing.
I think that's totally fair.
And because I don't like Kuminga at all. Sam has soured me on Kuminga. But the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by LL Pavorsky Jewelers. I am commanding you to get married. If you're not, what are you doing? Oh, I know what you're doing. You don't know who to go to for the ring. Jesus. LL Pavorsky Jewelers,
Ridiculous.
The first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Over 440 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have gotten engaged with LL Pavorsky rings. Oh, my goodness. Yes, what the difference is. What isn't the difference? Annoying salespeople? No, not at LL Pavorsky. Pressuring you to buy something that you don't feel comfortable with? Not at LL Pavorsky. Nope. Going to get the best quality stuff at the best price, but he's going to treat you amazing, whether it's a ring for $1,000 or $100,000. It might be slightly better for $100,000 if I'm just being honest. He wouldn't say that, but probably would be. But all that said, it's a low pressure environment. That's why everything is appointment only. He wants to make sure he has everything ready for you when you show up. So the experience is absolutely awesome. He has helped so many Ricky listeners get engagement rings, but then follow up. Then you got a guy that's a jeweler. Come on. If it's time to get married, if it's time to get an engagement ring, you are not allowed to go to anyone else. Call him to make an appointment, 215-627-2252. Email him, lee@llpavorsky.com. Tweet at him @llpavorsky. Always supports our charities, Mama T's Community Fridge and Province Animal Center. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Judah, mint yourself with a new piece of jewelry at LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
No, me neither. No.
They
just brief breaking news. VJ Edgecombe still left thumb sprain.
Out Thursday.
Reevaluated on Saturday.
So
there's no reason. There's no reason to risk it.
Can I ask you something? Honestly,
yeah.
What is the % chance he plays in the opener, the regular season opener?
Oh my God! Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, I would love for him to play in Vegas again. Just give me one game in Vegas.
On. One more.
If he doesn't play in Vegas, then the Sixers should announce that they're never going back to Utah again. That's ridiculous. Go get the heat of a fucking. Let him play in Thomas and Mack. God damn. Don't we fucking. Who gives a shit about the University of Utah? Why are we doing that? Don't let him get hurt there.
Wow, you're just shitting on Utah. Utah's a beautiful state.
I have nothing against it. I just except for the fact that the cameras are from 2005.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
there's
a
like
problem.
4 teams that are there.
Yeah.
Why are they doing it? Just go to the place where the people are.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
I've held on to these emails for a couple of episodes, but I feel like I want to read them to you because there were 2 of 4 or 5 that were all sort of the same tone. And I thought of it again because Gershon Yabusele sent out a very nice note about Philadelphia upon his signing with the Knicks, which I feel everything, just looking at him while he was answering our questions, I feel like everything he ever writes or says is actually 100% genuine, Yabusele. But I thought back to your like sort of pissed off rant about the Sixers and their inability to maximize sort of things like this. And I was actually surprised, while there were many people who were like, yeah, it might go, we got more pushback than I thought we would receive. Let me read you this first one. This came from Ami. Dear Spike, Mike, and CJ, I love that you guys are willing to give Daryl the business, even though he's a friend of the pod. But Mike's rant about the handling of the Sixers handling of Yabusele seems like a severe case of Monday morning quarterbacking. Mike says he predicted at the trade deadline that Grimes would sign for $8 million to $12 million. If he had, then the Sixers would have more than enough to keep him in Yabusele. And even if Grimes had been willing to sign that at the start of free agency for $16 million, they probably could have kept Yabusele. The quote problem is that the Sixers didn't realize how awesome Grimes would be, thereby driving up his value and making it impossible to sign Yabusele. So really, Mike is criticizing Daryl because he ended up hitting a home run on Grimes instead of just a single or a double. Sort of related question, did Mike have pinups of second-round picks on his wall? Second, thanks for the pod, Ami. And then there was another email, I won't read the whole thing, from Jason.
Can I address this part first?
Yes.
I think that's totally reasonable to say, like, Grimes was better than they thought. He's going to cost more than they thought. And that's cool in a way. It was a good pickup. I love the Grimes trade when it happened, and I love it now. The issue with Yabusele is they did not gain anything by holding on to him. In that there's no bird rights. You can't offer him more money.
Right, by keeping him.
And so they essentially, there's a world where Daryl goes to Gershon, has this conversation, talks to his agents, whatever, and goes, hey, we're going to trade you because we want to trade you to a playoff team. But if it shakes out in the summer, we'd love to get you back. We'd love to sign you once you're a free agent in the summer. Instead, he kept him and got nothing for him. Like, there was no reason to keep Yabusele on the team.
At the trade deadline.
At the trade deadline. There was just no reason to do it. I think they thought that they had a shot at making the play-in, and I hate that.
Raphael writes, happy 4th. Just got to say, Mike was incredibly whiny at the beginning of the last pod.
Always.
Regarding front office happiness.
Almost always.
Yeah. Seems like he was just complaining about all the incredibly bad luck we've had, but directing it at the wrong source. Here's a quick list of savvy moves by the front office. Signing Caleb Martin to a below-market contract. Trading said Caleb Martin to the Mavericks for Quentin Grimes and a second-rounder. Signing Yabusele to a minimum contract. Signing KJ Martin to a balloon deal. It didn't work out at the end, of course, but silly to complain about it and say it's not savvy.
That is not savvy.
Delaying signing Maxi's rookie extension so they could open max cap space, and signing Justin Edwards to an extension that keeps him a restricted free agent when it expires. It's fine to be disappointed and pissed off at the Sixers, but we've come to expect better from Mike's takes than lowest common denominator Reddit commenter nonsense.
Wow. Yeah, I've never commented on Reddit, so I resent it.
Yep.
Although I don't have anything against Reddit. Reddit seems fine. No issue. Just not in my rotation.
Yeah.
Some of those are good. I mean, I give them credit for the things that are good. I like the Caleb Martin signing. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out, but I liked it. I thought it made sense. I liked the trade for Grimes and a second, even more, even though I don't like who they drafted with the second. The Yabusele contract was something we were clamoring for. I'm glad we got him. He was useful. The KJ Martin contract is bad. That was bad. They took a risk in thinking that, hey, we're going to use this to match salary and it's going to be cool. But they ended up trading 2 second-round picks to get off of it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not savvy. Like that isn't at all. Being like, yeah, I'm not going to do a metaphor. It's just not it's not savvy. They signed him to a big contract, bigger than he was worth, and then they had to get off of him because they ducked the tax and traded 2 seconds. There's nothing savvy about that whatsoever. They could sign me to a big balloon deal, and
That'd
then
be
trade
savvy.
and then trade second round picks to get off of my expensive ass. Don't think you can name that. The delaying Maxi's rookie extension, that's more of a Maxi thing. That he allowed them to do that.
Well,
so they could open up max cap space, and they used that max cap space on Paul George at his age, which thus far has not been savvy. So like these are moves that they made. They haven't worked out. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad. I get mad at the bad ones. That's I think relatively reasonable way to do it.
Final. This came from Jason. Is simply making the Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com is simply making the playoffs enough to save Nurse and Morey's job. I think every fan would agree another year of no playoffs, both are canned. But let's say they win 44, 45 games and get ousted in the first round, just whatever mess season. Do they still run it back?
Yeah, I mean, let's say it's there's so many different ways that they could end up at 44 games. There's not all 44 game seasons are created equal, let's say.
Yes.
For this team. If they are extremely careful about Joel and Nick Nurse commits to playing young guys through the mistakes, and we can see them getting better. This includes Maxey and Edgecombe and McCain and Bona, and we can see, and Broome maybe, and we can see them getting better and more useful as the season goes on. And they have a good handle on Joel being there this season, and him and Paul George look reasonably healthy going into the playoffs, then them winning 44 games going into the playoffs, you feel good. But there's many versions of it not being a feel-good 44. There's ones where it's like they should be better. Joel is missing for months at a time. There's way too much Drummond, Lowry, Gordon, and they have a short rotation, and Maxey's playing 45 minutes a game. Like there's a lot of that possible. So in that case, I guess in his situation stipulated they lose in the first round. It depends where they end up. It depends who's healthy, who's around, but I think there's a real chance that both Daryl and Nurse get fired if it's a first round loss, for sure.
It's funny. My emotions reading this email, my first emotion was to get irritated and say, well, like, okay, they don't make the playoffs. Let's say Embiid and Paul George don't play the whole season. Like, duh. Like, what should they get fired for that? But then I jumped over to the reality of you eventually in these jobs just get judged by the results, whether it's your fault or not your fault.
Yeah.
I don't think, I can tell you for sure, I don't think Nick Nurse would survive a non-playoff season. And I think if they lost in the first round, unless both guys were hurt and they overachieved, right? Like, let's say the 43 wins was an overachievement because Embiid doesn't play the whole year.
Yeah.
I think Nurse likely doesn't survive it. I'm not sure about Daryl. I really don't. I'm really not sure.
I sort of don't think. I think they're kind of tied together.
Oh, you think?
I think so. I think if one of them goes, they both go.
Interesting.
And if this season, I think ownership was willing to go, all right, last year, bad luck, some good stuff, some good draft picks, some useful undrafted, couple interesting things, whatever. You end up with Edgecombe, get lucky on that. We like that. There seems to be like a future brewing in Philadelphia. I think if it will give you one more shot to let the Maxey, Embiid, Paul George, this is the core. When they signed Paul George, they extended Maxey and Embiid. It's like, this is the core. This is the guys we're going with. That was Daryl's call. I think they go, last year was a mulligan. This year it's, you better prove it.
Yeah.
I think otherwise he's gone. And then they just go, okay, well, we're just going to be bad for a few years and let the future take over.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's happening either, but they might not have a choice, Like,
Yeah, I mean, it would. I don't think they'd be so like, they would try to trade PG at the end of in this offseason if they suck again. They would try to do it. I doubt they would trade anything of value for it, but if he ends up being somewhat useful, maybe they try to trade him when he's more closer to an expiring, or 2 years or whatever, for somebody else's garbage. Yeah, there's not like a great way out of it, They signed Embiid and Paul George to those contracts, but they have to get to a place where they go, okay, we need to stock up on picks, and maybe that means trading Maxey, maybe whatever. I don't know what ownership's thinking, but I do think last year was embarrassing for the Sixers.
Yeah.
They took their socks off to go give Paul George a bunch of money.
Yeah.
They brought Dr. J to take his socks off and give Paul George a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't look at least a lot better this year, then I do think that Daryl and Nick are gone.
We will talk to you Saturday morning. And then we'll have another podcast all about the Sixers. You know what we like to say? When the national media is screwing you and not talking about the Sixers, we'll do it twice a week for over an hour each time.
I know, to be clear, yes, but I don't want them to talk about this. I don't like when they talk about the Sixers. I don't find it useful to anybody. But it is notable that they're not. And I find that a little funny. And that's that.
We'll talk to you Saturday morning. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.